And Betsy, this first question is for you. How can we effectively attract young professionals to the Valley, either through targeted strategies, incentives, or community initiatives?
I think we've touched on this earlier, and I think it's focusing to those that are in our community already. You know, the community engagement piece. We will, in the next few months, or I've kind of considered it a wintertime project, we will form a community engagement group. I don't know what it's going to look like just yet, but we're going to partner with Empowering Families and create a formal group that addresses community engagement. But it seems like sometimes we're so fragmented as a community, we just have to figure out ways to communicate with each other and bring everyone together. Everybody seems to get their news in different ways on social media. So it's a problem that we're trying to solve right now. But we do want to grow. We want people coming back to our community or staying in our community. I have 3 grandkids, 6, 4, and 1, and I want all of them to stay in the Scottsbluff area and raise their families. So, Betsy?
I just would only add that, you know, I think being able to take care of our community is what helps bring families in here. Being able to invest in our parks, being able to invest in our businesses and those things, that's what folks are looking for when they're coming to move out here. So I think that's something we need to maintain.
All right, we're actually going to stay with you for a couple more. Betsy, this one's for you. How is the city addressing the shortage in healthcare workers?
How's the city addressing that? I don't know how the city is addressing that. I'm just going to say I think that businesses are addressing that, and I think that the community is addressing that. Depending on where you work or what business it is, lots of us have been using incentives. Lots of us have been using retention bonuses or recruitment hiring bonuses. We have met as the city with the hospital here to just further our partnership with them. We're very committed to supporting them. We've discussed some potential options of how the city could support, including maybe like some child care. You know, can we support funding to start something like that that would help maintain employees in the healthcare field? But I think it's really on all of us to do that.
Perfect.
I would just add that we did add child care to our economic development plan. We're very limited on what the city could do, but that is one thing. So we did meet with the hospital, and they were kind of excited about the thought of having child care dedicated to the hospital. So those are the things that we can do. There's not a lot of opportunity to spend taxpayer money on healthcare workers. So kid's looking at me, so he keeps me in line.
Okay. Thanks. If you'll pass that down to Nikki and Scott, the next question is for you. So how do you as school districts inform students and parents about access to free opportunities such as school sports, dual credit classes, those things that there are financial incentives or help for?
A lot of communities do reach out to us, and they give us flyers and information on free programs in the community for them. And so we do post that every week, and so we send electronic newsletters home in regards to that. There's a lot of information that goes back to families electronically through emails, and also we text them as well. And then dual enrollment is, our counselors do a really good job on our career pathways of identifying students and their strengths and what areas that they're interested in. So I know both Gary and Scottsbluff is more wall-to-wall and career pathways. We're more exploratory. But either way, our students get to that point where when they become a junior and senior year, that they have those opportunities to enroll in these courses due to their interests, whether it's health science, whether it's the trades, engineering, things like that.
Yeah, and I would just add, so the fees that we have, they're in our policy manuals. We do a lot of before school meetings. We do a bunch of athletics meetings. So the idea is also, I guess, we don't want to make a big deal out of it either. Like, it doesn't, we don't want somebody to feel like singled out because they get a free lunch, right? That's not what this is about. This is about providing opportunities. And so I think there, as Nikki said, there's lots of opportunities for distributing that information, but at the end of the day, if you want to do something, you're able to do it. And if you can't afford it, we'll find a way.
All right, thank you. This next one is for Dave. So how would a tourism center be funded, and will a feasibility study be part of planning for such a center, or are there past studies you could utilize for that?
Man, I wish Brenda was here. Right now, what we're looking through is to fund it mostly through our tourism committee funds and also through grants. So there's ways that we can do that depending on what place we pick. A feasibility study, I don't know if we've really talked about that. The feasibility study was, there's no place for people to go except for attractions. We're open 9 to 5, so if somebody comes in 5:30 trying to find a place to go, there's not a lot of places for them to get that information except for online. Can't ask questions. Brenda's office now is at the county administration building, where she is off, like she was gone almost all last week at Girls State Golf. So not a lot of questions that can be asked, follow-ups. We haven't really got to that far into the conversation. We just know that we need one, those will definitely be had. But for I think most part, the funding will come through lodging tax dollars and then grants that we'd be able to get.
Perfect. One more question for you. How do people get involved in the Sports Council?
Again, I'm not involved with the Sports Council. I have too much on my plate already. Just contact Brenda. I think they take a really good approach. They're going to take, just do a couple events, new events, trying to get it up and going, and see how that goes. But we have so many different ways of thinking on the Sports Council. I think it's really good. It's really good diversity. They've come up with some really great ideas, but just contact Brenda at the county, and she can point you in that direction.
All right, thank you. Okay, so the next question, and this is, Kevin's the one that brought it up, but it might be a gearing question, it might be for either of you, but what is, as far as the existing landfill goes, how much more time does that landfill have?
Definitely gearing.
That's a little bit of a moving target. As we know, we have events regularly that hugely affect the amount of space we're using. And so, the amount of waste that we're taking in can vary 10 to 20% year to year. During COVID, we were not expecting to have that much waste, but everyone went home and remodeled their kitchens. So we ended up having a huge year in 2020. A little more regularly, that was a little bit of an anomaly, a little more regularly we have hailstorms, and so the sheer volume of shingles we take up there is astonishing. But if everything goes as we think it will, we have just a little bit over a year left.
Thank you. Every time there's a hailstorm here, it does hurt what I tell everyone, that this is the San Diego of the Midwest. That is hurt every time that we have one of those weather events. Another question for Gearing, or for anyone, I guess, on this. Any update on a casino project coming to the area?
So we had the casino group originally applied for their CUP in 2021, then it was renewed for a year, and then they had to apply again in 2023. It was renewed for a year. They applied again this year, and every year we've granted our local approvals. So they have the local approvals for it, but they cannot do anything until they get state approvals. So that's kind of what they're waiting on. They are applying to the Nebraska Racing and Gaming Commission, but there's been a lot of delays. Originally there was legislation that there had to be a market study done before they could grant any new licenses. they got that market study done, but then the Racing and Gaming Commission was more focused on all of the other casinos that were being built and wanted to get those taken care of and out the door before they consider anything new. So, you know, we're hoping it will be soon, but locally we have no control over that.
Great, thank you. This is a loaded question and probably for everyone. So, what is a primary expenditure of property taxes paid by citizens directly returned to citizens in either services, improvements, or changes? So, talk about how property taxes are used to benefit citizens directly.
So I guess, again, I'll let other people chime in because only a portion of your property tax goes to the city. A lot of it goes to these other entities, and I don't want to speak for them. But our property taxes all go towards our general fund, which again is going to be your police protection, your fire protection, your parks, your library. And when you look at that bill, what you're getting in return for services, if you were to go out and try to hire someone to do all of those things in the private sector, you know, there's no comparison that, you know, I really feel like it's a really good value for all of the services that you get for the city.
I alluded to this at the beginning of our questions, but we have $29 million that comes through with state funding, and that's property taxes, and that 80% of that $29 million goes directly back into the community because it's for salaries. So, and the rest goes for facilities, and not much more there's just not a lot of wiggle room when it comes to that state funding on that. So it does go to salaries.
So yeah, I mean, the majority of the property tax that we take in, 70% of our budget goes to salary. We split our tax request into two buckets. One goes into our general fund, and that's where we pay for most things. The other side of it goes into a building fund. And so what you want to be able to do there, that money in the building fund goes to renovate existing properties. We use the money that we had in our building fund to acquire the Scottsbluff Education Center. And do the renovations there. But if you think about property tax, again, to me, the schools give that all back. And because you're educating our workforce, more and more of our students are staying here. That didn't used to be the case when I graduated, 30 years ago-ish, a little more. But more and more of our students go to WNCC, or they go directly into a trade. They stay here in our area. I mean, we are building our own workforce. We're building our own citizens. I think that, again, the education is what you get in return for your tax dollars.
Well, realizing that most of our funding comes from federal funds and state funds, that's all taxpayer money. But our national organizations have done economic impact studies, and there's 4-to-1 payback on money invested in public transit. Over the last 5 years, our budget has almost doubled. Our tax ask has not increased. We are offsetting that with other revenue. We are a non-emergency medical transportation provider for Medicaid. We're partnering with other human service agencies, Doves, Capwin, Health and Human Services, other agencies, and that revenue can be used to lower the county's obligation. So for us, yeah, it's all taxpayer money, but we've been able to find other revenue sources to keep our tax ask low. So 45,000 trips, a payroll of about 100,000 a month, and our tax ask is less than 200,000 a year. So the return on investment, that money goes back into the community. It's paying employees from the county. It's paying to buy tires and fuel and repair shops. They're doing maintenance on our vehicles, things like that. So a huge return on your investment. So we run it pretty lean, and but I know there's a good return on your tax dollars.
Tourism doesn't use property tax. But I will say this, the state did a study, for every $1 that the state of Nebraska spent on tourism marketing, we get $20 back. And that is sales tax, that is lodging tax. And from the bigger cities we advertise in Chicago, St. Louis, and Denver, it's almost $30 for every dollar spent. So you want property tax relief? encourage the governor to stop taking our money and increase our spending authority for tourism.
I'll just be repeating what Annie said. All of the property tax goes into our budget and supplies our city services, so it's all well thought out and spent wisely. So.
Okay, perfect. The last question, and since I'm moderating, I get to choose it, is Greg, how is WNCC working with these entities for the future success of our region? And it's here, I'm not making that up. It's been so great being up here with them and hearing about what's going on. And I think about the partnerships that we have with each of these organizations, and it's tremendous. At WNCC, there were questions about healthcare. We're in the midst of a health science renovation and expansion that will increase our capacity by almost 25% in health sciences. We, this year alone, have an 8% increase in enrollment and significantly in dual credit, with our two biggest partners being Scottsbluff Public Schools and Gearing Public Schools. And a student who takes a dual credit class is 1.7 times more likely to attend WNCC and 2.1 times more likely to go to college after high school. And so those are tremendous. We're working with these entities on our career and technical education programs and what we're doing in the community and training. And so I couldn't be more excited to partner with these organizations. So let's give them a round of applause on the Q&A.